welcome to another unboxing video from theplayersaid.com. My name's Alexander, and today we're taking a look at a brand new game from GMT Games. Just came out into 2020, called Apocalypse Road. And this is designed by Carla and Jeff Horger, and if you know those names, it's because GMT also publishes a number of their games which are racing games. So they do Thunder Rally, things like that. So those games, it's multiplayer stock car racing games, basically. Or NASCAR, I guess, but they can't call it that. You have a team of cars, anywhere from like, 6 or 7 or 8, down to like 2 or 3 or 4 if you're playing bigger games. And it's a racing game, right? It's going around the track a number of times, having to pit, having to repair damage, getting in front, and it's your aggregate score over all of your guys that finish. You might finish first, but if the rest of your team finishes last, you're not going to do well. Apocalypse Road, as you can see by the title, by the front cover art, which is awesome, it's Thunder Rally does Mad Max basically. So you've got guns and weapons all over your cars, and so you're racing, but you're also trying to kill each other to death and smash each other, which is just so awesome. Okay. So the back tells us we can do 2 to 10 players on these. This is what I mean. So if you have a small number of players, you'll have lots of cars. So there's still lots of action. If you have a lot of players, each of you only has a small number of cars that are a bit more precious, but it's a lot of chaos still in there as well. I think you get 2 mounted map boards, which have a ton of different and very varied race types as well. And there's decks of cards for movement, and a lot of weapons. This is a very heavy box. Big, nice 3-inch box, and it is chock full. You see, I'll take the lid off, and it could not be more full than it is. So, rules of play. Because if you think about it, this isn't some historical simulation or anything like that. So the rules of play, it's 13 pages, which half of it is like credits and get sheets. So actual rules, 12 pages at best. So that's very, very nice, very easy to consume these rules, and it's actually not very complicated. A significant portion of these full color rules is diagrams about, if I play this type of movement card, what can I do with it? How does this move me within the pack of cars? Because there's a lot of displacement. If you imagine like NASCAR races, there's a bunch of cars together, and when you move, they're bobbing and weaving kind of a thing, moving within a pack. So there's a lot of diagrams to say how you do that whilst keeping it not overly complex. So then we get to the team sheets, and so there's 10 of these: pink, green, white, light blue, red, black, purple, yellow, green, and a dark blue. And you see each of these has their own number identification on each of the cars, and they are also slightly different, which is nice. I know Thunder Rally, all the cars are actually the same shape. You get some nice little different shapes. They kind of went a little bit extra on the artwork there. But you'll see they're adorned with, weapons and defensive measures and things like that. They just look awesome. So here it tells you what weapons that they have on each of the cars, and as such, these heavy weapons, like missile launchers and autocannons, they have a lower speed than some of these much lighter cars, which seem to have, lighter, fair weapons on them. So that's nice. There's actually a lot more differentiation between these cars. And then you have holding boxes, presumably for damage that you might or might not take. And those are single-sided. There's a whole bunch of those, and these are just a nice card stock. So here's the 2 sheets of cars, and there's 8 for each color. And they kind of, so they've got rows of 6, and then they tagged the rest of them on down here. But you just punch these out. These are pre-rounded. They're very, very nice. And they're also dual-sided. And what you'll notice is there's a light grey, like a white side, and then a darker grey side. And that's to indicate who's moved this turn. So everyone starts like on the white side, and once you've moved it, you flip it over to the dark side. And so that way you're not like, oh, did I move that guy? Did I not move that guy? And then on the next turn, everyone's grey, and then you flip them over to the white side once you've used them. You go back and forth that way, just to help keep track of who's moved where, but it's not like a reduced side or anything. It's just for turn management, basically. And then we have one sheet of kind of regular counters, and you'll see these are all damage markers, most of them. Lots of damage markers, suppression markers, there's markers for each of the different colors of each of the different teams. And do these have anything on the back? There's victory point markers, so all those markers at the bottom are victory point markers, and you'll get those for winning and doing certain events. But it looks like everything else, like the first player marker. And you can see this here. If you look at the first player marker, this is kind of the light grey side, and this is the dark grey side to match the cars. So you flip it at the end of a turn to know which side color you should be on, basically. But that's it. These are thick grey core counters. You punch them. I'll be clipping these, frankly. And hopefully be able to get these in a counter tray in here. Should be no problem. The main bulk of the rest of what's in here, there's two double-sided, fully mounted mats, and there's a number of cards. I'm going to pull these. There's 4 decks of cards, and then there's a nice shipping insert which we'll get rid of, and that will allow us to put a counter sheet in here, hopefully. Okay, let's get these right. So we have the race deck, we have combat events, and movement events. So the combat events, obviously that's a new thing. Before it was just regular movement events. So the movement events will tell you, like, the active car may swap places with a car linked directly in front of it. And there's some rules included in that of what is linked and what's directly in front, all that kind of stuff. So these are, and there's a whole bunch of these. These are just kind of events that will change some aspect of placement on the board. The new stuff here, these combat events. So the combat events, and there's a bunch of these, and we also have a couple more movement events at the back there. So the combat events, well, no, I'm not entirely sure. Machine gun, it looks like you're going to flip these. There's a number at the top, and then there's a designation of different weapons. And it looks like it might dictate how many hit points of damage they might do. So if you're firing a machine gun, I think you might pull a card, and then this is the machine gun value if you hit, potentially. I'm not entirely sure. If you're firing a missile launcher, you look at the missile launcher phase. I'm not 100% on that. We will find out, but that seems to be the kind of thing that would be. And then the majority of these cards form a very large race deck. And these make up your hand, and they make up what you can do. So you'll shuffle all these together, and we'll just pick a couple so they're not all the same. And I think you get a hand of like 6 or 7, or maybe 8. I can't remember. I think maybe you get them. It's how many cards you have plus 1, something like that. So these dictate the type of movement that you can conduct. So this is a solo movement at +3. So you've got your speed that's listed on your kind of team card. So this guy's got a speed of 5, and you can speed at +3 if you're moving solo. So you can do 8, so you can move 8 points on your own. You have line movement, which means you and everyone who's connected to you in a line, kind of adjacent, you move the whole pack in that line, for example. So that way, not every car's moving, you're moving the whole pack kind of thing. So the race progresses quite quickly and will move the more players and cards that you have, which I really, really like about this game. It's not just, I move my guy 10 spaces, and then your turn, I move my guy 6 spaces. A lot of other people are going to move your stuff as well, and it just makes the whole flow of the game, more thematically realistic in this style of race, I guess. But there's a whole bunch of these, and they're all different. Pursuit movement, this means you're at the very back, and it's catching up, pushing from behind. There's lead movement, if you're at the front, you pull everyone behind you. All these kind of things. And then there's diagonal lead movement, you can do special moves within the confines of the course. So a ton of cards that you'll use, and they just you have a hand of them, and you choose which one to play. This car for his activation, he's going to play this card. Boop, you go and you do it. It's really not complicated in that way. So the last thing are these two large double-sided maps. So let's open up the first one. And the first one is called Trinite Crater Run. If I can get it out, there we go. So I'm going to flip these up, and I like that they print these double-sided. I know that ups the printing cost significantly, but means you get a lot in the game. And I know for some of the other games they've released map packs. Hopefully if this does really well, and if it's really fun, we can get some of those too. But as you can see, you have checkered line, you're going to go around, do some laps, right? It's simple in that way of what you're trying to do. Here you've got 4 lanes and you're going to start. So you start with pole position at 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Fill all this way up, and then you're going to branch off. And then you're going to race, and you'll split off, you'll come back together, you'll split off. That's how this one's going to work. And there's holding boxes for your cards, destroyed cars, that's always good news. And they have a nice little sequence of play down here in the bottom left-hand corner as well. On the reverse side, we have map the second. Same thing, we have here our starting cars. We're going to go around this way, and this one is the McGowan Oriel Sugar Run. And this one, moving around, it looks like there's some yellow, which might be some very difficult terrain. I think that might be new. I've not experienced that before. Could be very exciting. But basically you start here, and then you'll thin out into these lines, and things get crunched up, so you're going to be ramming each other, shooting each other, blowing each other out of the way. Hopefully that's very fun. So that's the first double-sided map. And then we'll look here at the second and last one. This one. Okay. The Andover Autodrome. I wonder if that's a... If I can get it open. And with these new games, you usually get a bend in them. So I stick them out the night before, put some heavy other games on them. Just to flatten them out a bit for play. Again, this one looks like a lot of tarmac. Again, we've got this very difficult and rough terrain, and I don't know if you can go on this middle bit or if it forces you down the sides. And there's some like relief here where it looks like it's kind of ramps and jumps. It's supposed to be fast and furious, kind of just a big mess, which is exciting. And then the last one we have, ooh, well. The Essendarium in Springfield, Ohio. So this one, so you're all going to start here, and then you go into one of those figure 8 kind of banger racing is what they call it. So there's a massive crash zone here, where at some point you'll have cars going this way, and hopefully we get some collisions and smashing into each other. But this is exciting. This is probably going to be incredibly wild, and lots. We're going to fill up the destroyed cars box. Where is it? Over here, very quickly. But that's the 4 maps. I'm very excited to play this. I really enjoy Thunder Alley. We don't play a lot of racing games, as you may well imagine. But Thunder Alley it's enjoyable because of the style of the game itself. I'm not a NASCAR fan in any way, shape, or form, but having a team of cars and having semi-control over them, other people moving them around and you having to deal with that, there's a lot of principles in that I really enjoy within the game. And now to have guns on top of it, yay, that's fun for me. I do like the Mad Max theme, so having kind of a Thunderdome running around, blowing each other up, I think that should be quite fun. So this is Apocalypse Road from GMT. If you're interested, it's a big racing game with guns. Check it out. I appreciate you guys tuning in. I'm Alexander from theplayersaid.com.